Hi there, Mr. Chairman, other members of the committee. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Laura Hastings. I live in Barrington, and while I am an employee of the state of Rhode Island, my testimony reflects my views alone today. When I speak about domestic violence, I try to make it relatable. It is all too easy to dismiss those who experience domestic violence as people with whom you cannot identify. Truth be told, we are simply people, even people that you know. Not everyone shouts their status from the rooftops for a multitude of reasons. Oftentimes that reason is shame, which is the actual shame. That domestic violence is still unspeakable is ridiculous. That those who experience domestic violence feel shame and abusers don't is where the shame should really lie. Because abuse speaks volumes about those who abuse rather than those who are victims. We must change the social construct that in any way offers up shame for those in situations that are bigger than themselves. Let's start today. Domestic violence is not a slap or a punch necessarily. It is the consistent imbalance and exploitation of power and respect and fear. Domestic violence is a calculated chipping away of any semblance of comfort and safety. Domestic violence is the constant heightened state of fight or flight. The mere presence of a gun in a domestic violence situation multiplies the fear factor dramatically and makes it 5 times more likely the victim will be killed. The term gaslighting has had some press as of late. I'm going to use that concept as I move on. Let's say you have a favorite shirt and you love it mostly because it's red. You like red, you feel comfortable in red, you like how you look in red. Now imagine your abuser tells you it's green and that everyone else thinks it's green. And in your mind you think that's crazy. Of course it's red. And then your abuser tells others that you don't actually look good in green and that if you speak and say it's red, everyone will know how stupid you are. And it's said to you enough times you begin to feel colorblind. Now let's imagine your abuser has a gun. Let's imagine you're abused. The police are called and your abuser is arrested based upon probable cause. A final protective order is then issued after a full hearing in front of a judge in which you speak to the presence of guns and how you are afraid. After all, you've just called the police and spoken in front of a judge. A final protective order is issued because the criminal justice system agrees that the situation is not safe for you. But the judge does not order the guns to be removed and the police don't take the guns. And the police will not come to get them even though the protective order has been issued. Everyone involved knows the abuser still has possession of the guns. Let's be clear, the abuser has been arrested, and further, after a hearing, a judge has issued a final protective order, but the guns stay in the abuser's possession. And this isn't just a hypothetical. Because there is no mandatory turning in of the guns, the abuser can maintain possession. Back to the concept of fear. Loss of control is a real fear for an abuser, and having the police and a judge involved embodies a loss of control. Domestic violence is an experience of escalation. H5510 makes sense on its face. Abusers subject to a current final protective order or have a domestic violence conviction, including a misdemeanor, should not have access to guns. If you are convicted of breaking the law, your freedoms are limited. This isn't new, and it isn't new regarding guns. Allowing violent offenders to maintain access to guns is nonsensical. It isn't a greater freedom thing or a liberty thing. It's a logical step to avoid further criminal activity. I implore the House Judiciary Committee to vote H5510 out of committee for this reason, because it does not make sense for guns to remain in this situation, and all too often the existing discretion means the guns remain. If the guns do remain, you quickly find your abuser was right. Your shirt is green, and it doesn't matter if it's red to you or in reality. If the guns stay and your abuser maintains access to them, for all intents and purposes, your shirt is green. And you are in constant danger, and you've done everything in your power to protect yourself and perhaps even your children. But nobody hears you because you don't look good in green, and you can jump up and down and demand your shirt is red, but if the guns remain, it's green, and everyone involved knows that. I am a gun owner. I like to shoot them. I enjoy experiences with guns. I believe there is a place in our society for guns, and the hands of domestic abusers is not one of those places. I've come to this room 3 years in a row to support this bill or one substantially similar. It is time. It is time for this body to recognize that there are people who are harmed based on lack of action. It is time for this committee to move this bill forward before more Rhode Islanders are victimized in ways you can prevent. And this is in addition, not in my written testimony as I submitted it. I've been hearing a lot since I've been sitting here about the status of scratches perhaps on guns or the storage of them. And I, as a gun owner and as someone who has owned precious things, there is nothing more precious than a human being. And to worry more about the storage or a scratch on an heirloom, more so than to worry about a family member, is sad to me. And I'm sad to hear that that's the comments that are coming out most from this committee. That's what I have today. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.